Back from Singapore heat camp, where I was also hoping to race, but yeah, managed to pick up a bit of a calf niggle, which was actually pretty weird in terms of how it came about. Like, I was just 10 minutes into a warm-up jog for a session and just felt like a bit of tightness in like the front of my calf, and I was like, oh, that feels a bit odd. Stopped, thought it might just be cramp, maybe like dehydration. It was obviously super hot and humid out there, so like stopped for a bit, tried to walk it off, but didn't go away. So I was like, well, I've been here before, I'm just going to walk back to the car, not going to risk anything, and hopefully it'll chill out. It then sort of like tightened through the day, and I was like, oh, this feels a little bit more calfy, like what I've had before, but couldn't really understand how it could be anything. It actually chilled out quite well the next couple of days, and I was then like just pretty careful with not doing too much and just trying to test it a bit. But yeah, I could still definitely feel a bit of something, so just basically didn't run for the next week. And yeah, got a scan when I came home because I was like, I just want to know, like, I don't want the same situation as last year. And yeah, turns out that it is what seems to be a fairly nasty tear. It puts me back into that kind of disbelief as to how it's happened. I think, we had such a careful build, it'd all been going really well, we hadn't done anything weird. I'd actually taken an easier run week the week before being in Nice, and then we'd had like a couple of easy days post-travel. So yeah, it doesn't seem to be anything that gives a particular reason as to why it happened, which is probably the toughest thing to deal with. So yeah, back to rehab. Spent a good few days wallowing in self-pity because it's just a bit shit, to be honest. Especially when I felt like I'd got to the bottom of my calf issues and felt in a really good place, ready for the year. So yeah, definitely a bit of a spanner in the works. But yeah, back on track now with just getting into rehab. Kind of was given a relatively conservative approach by the physio, which I had to weigh up quite a lot, to be honest, because after last year, part of me was like, well, why would you risk messing up the season? The other part of me is like, well, symptom-wise, it really hasn't felt that bad. And given how many calf tears I've had now, I think I'm generally quite good at feeling what feels bad or not. And basically, if I take the kind of more conservative approach, then my season's pretty much, well, I have to say goodbye to the Ironman Pro Series, which I don't really want to do. Not at this stage anyway. I could just do a later Ironman, qualify for Nice, but it then also doesn't give any scope for like if you get a mechanical or something goes wrong in that race. So yeah, I'm being probably a lot more aggressive with it than most people would advise, but so far seems to be okay. I'm like touching all the wood. Yeah, I'm being pretty careful with it. I'm like doing running on the lever mainly, a bit of underwater treadmill at the moment, and I'm going to build that gradually to a point where I've taken where I've not taken that much weight off the lever, and then try a bit of normal running. So yeah, it's been a challenge. I think it now just feels like so long since I've done proper racing. Again, like Kona kind of counts, but also like it just doesn't really count to me. So yeah, there's definitely some bit of identity crisis of not really feeling like an athlete. Kind of them feeling worse about that because yeah, this year I've kind of gone all in, and it's like, oh, it's just not paying off so far. So yeah, there's been some like big ups and downs, but feeling more positive about stuff now with, yeah, now I've got my bit of a plan. I guess Kat's shown in Texas that it's possible to rehab a nasty calf tear in a short amount of time. So hopefully I get some of the, I'm not going to call it luck because I know she put quite a lot of work into it, but yeah, hopefully I get some of the healing powers she had. And yeah, be all good for Hamburg in just over 4 weeks now. So that's the plan. We'll see how it goes. There'll either be a relatively happy next video coming because it's all going to plan, or there'll be a very sad my season's over. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Also, today's a good day because the sun is out and it's finally shorts weather. Woo! It's been a while. We've been back in like full winter kit. So yeah, actual shorts weather, and I reckon I might be able to take the arm armors off when I get going in my reps. Look at this, clear blue sky. Beautiful. So back in Garage of Dreams, and yeah, there's still leaves on the floor, sorry. This is now, where are we up to? 2.5 weeks basically post having my little calf niggle, which yeah, obviously I've had lots of calf issues before, so I've been trying to be very sensible with this one. Yeah, had an MRI on it when I got back from Singapore. It appears to be like a relatively nasty tear, which I don't really understand how that can be, given how I did it, sort of how sensible we'd be and etc. But, you know, clearly I have weird calves, so I guess if we're treating it as the MRI sort of says, it's basically like Olympic part grade 3 is how it's been diagnosed, or the BAMIC grade 2C. So yeah, relatively serious, basically like what I had last year in May. But yeah, this time instead of tendon involvement, which is what complicated it last year, it's basically fascia involvement, which makes sense as to why it felt a bit different. So general advice is kind of keep it, you either follow the really conservative route, which basically fucks my whole season, so probably not going to do that. I'm trying to do a bit more of follow the symptoms, because it hasn't really felt that bad. So basically going very day by day, how does it feel? It's been tolerating load really well in terms of like gym load. So yeah, I actually feel relatively confident it's healing up quite nicely. But I've been back making friends with the treadmill and my lever. Obviously feel pretty lucky that I've got both the lever and the underwater treadmill, because it means that I can do things that feel kind of like running, but with lots of body weight off, which for me is important partly to keep the Achilles going. So like if I take the break from running, I basically get what I had around Cozumel, which is the Achilles flares up, which I don't want. And I think it also then just like preps the body for when you start actually running again. So yeah, basically taking it day by day, doing like day on, day off of very little bits on the lever. And then because it's tolerated that quite well for a week, I'm now adding in a bit of underwater treadmill as well, which again, like ours is quite deep. So it's basically like 80 to 90% body weight off. So it just means I can get in a bit more volume with very low risk. But yeah, saying that, still an element of risk, because generally with these, a lot of the recommendation is don't run for like 6 weeks. But yeah, basically if I do that, I'm saying goodbye to the rest of the season. So let's see, maybe I get a little bit of luck this year.